Today we're going to look at the subject of illegal immigration. It's probably one of the biggest subjects in this election right now. It usually is. People have very strong opinions about it. There's not a lot of good data because they're undocumented, so it's kind of hard to get really good numbers on illegal immigration to have a good debate about it. So we're going to take a look at it from a different standpoint. We're going to try to use some data that's not so controversial about America and see if we can connect some dots and figure out if we can come to any conclusions about illegal immigration's effect on the wealth of the average American. So, in order to visualize this, I have in front of me 100 Lego people. Now, each one of these Lego people is meant to represent 1% of America's total population. So, there's about 318 million people in this country. So, each one of these people represents about $3.2 million. Now, we're going to be taking a look at America's wealth distribution. So, in order to do that, we need to take a look at America's total wealth. So here we have 100 American dollars. Each one of these dollars represents 1% of America's private wealth. That's estimated to be well over $60 trillion, which makes us not only the richest country in the world, but the richest country in history. Now, let's take a look and see how that money exactly breaks down. So, starting at the top, up here we have the richest of the rich. This is the 1% right here, okay? These include your billionaires and your multimillionaires. They own about 35% of this country's total wealth. So that's $35 right here. All right, moving on down. This is the next four richest people in America, and they control $27 of America's wealth. Okay, now we're getting to the bottom 5% of the top 10% of the richest people in this country, okay? These people combined control $11 of America's wealth. And now notice that as we get further down, the money shown here is getting split up among more and more people. And now this is the next 10 richest. So this right here makes up about the top 20% of the richest people in this country. So they control about 12% of this country's wealth. Now, over here, these 5 people control 11%, but again, we're splitting it among twice as many people now. Now, right here, we have the middle class of America. So these 20 people represent the upper middle class, okay? We're getting into white collar professionals, kind of skilled professionals, things like that, the top of the middle class. And middle class, among all these 20 people, they control $11 of America's wealth. And now, this is squarely the middle class. These include your blue collar workers, a lot of your office workers. This is, the bulk of America. This is most of America right here. They only control about $4 of America's wealth. And now this is the rest of America. This is 40%. So this is almost half of America right here. This includes all your blue collar workers, retail workers, service industry workers, entry-level jobs, and everyone else. Still American working families. Now, if you notice, I don't have any dollars left. If you actually calculate it out, the bottom 40% of America only controls about 20 cents out of America's wealth. And if we want to be more specific, the bottom 20%, so these 20 people actually have negative wealth, meaning they're in debt. They have no money at all. So these 20 are actually covering for them, and they still only end up with about 20 cents. Now, on the subject of illegal immigration, right? Most of us can agree that illegal immigrants, due to their undocumented status, have a harder time achieving higher paying jobs in America. They're mostly limited to blue collar, labor intensive service jobs. A lot of times they get paid under the table so that employers can pay them less than minimum wage and kind of get around labor regulations. So most of us can agree that the vast majority of illegal immigrants, obviously there's many exceptions, but a lot of them, the bulk of them are going to belong in the bottom 50% of Americans. So that's this group of people here. Now, researchers have different numbers on this, but the ballpark for the number of illegal immigrants in America is anywhere between 11 million immigrants and 13 million. So in Lego terms, that would break out to be about 3 or 4 of these guys. Now, we've established that they most likely come from the bottom 50% of America, the vast majority of them will. And given that this group right here only has 20 cents of America's wealth to divide, how much wealth do you think these 4 people control? At most, and this is being very generous, at most they might control 1 or 2 pennies of America's wealth. Now, there's 2 different kinds of people. There's people who are kind of happy with where they're at. They are happy with their social standing, and same with everyone around them, and they don't think there's a problem with any of this. This is totally fine. Now, there's other people who think that there's a problem with this country, that the vast majority of Americans don't have enough money, and they're being told that illegal immigrants are the reason for that. Now, let's see if that's true. So, we're gonna build a wall. So, we got a wall right here. We're gonna wall these guys off. And let's just say, for the sake of this experiment, that the wall, that removing all of our illegal immigrants didn't cost a single penny to the American taxpayer, okay? They all decided up and leave, they're gonna stay out, they don't wanna live in America anymore. So if we took all of their wealth, we take these 2 pennies, and we try to redistribute it to try to help the vast majority of America, the middle class to the lower class. These guys are doing pretty well. If we distribute these pennies, how much have we really accomplished? Perhaps the most successful thing that Donald Trump has done this year is convince a large group of the people over here that they have more in common with this guy who represents Donald Trump, who represents all the billionaires. Your bosses, the people who really control the money in this country. You've convinced these people that they have more in common with him than they do with other people that are in the exact same boat as them, as the people who are fighting for scraps in this country. But as we've shown, just look at the wealth, we can tell that the legal immigrants, you can say they have some of the money, but you can tell getting rid of them, not even talking about the incredible costs it would take to remove 11 million people from this country, that you just wouldn't get much back from it. Now, on the other hand, this person over here, this is the person that's in control of everyone's wages. These are the people that have the power to, with a single pen stroke, get rid of thousands of good-paying middle-class American jobs solely for a couple of percentage points at the end of the year on their bonus. These are the people who have refused to raise the wages of the average American. Wages in America have stagnated for decades, while on the other end, all new wealth, almost all new income growth has gone to this guy right here. Now, how do we know that this isn't just the way it works? How do we know that this isn't normal, the rich are gonna have more than us, right? Well, since 1979, the vast majority of America has not seen a meaningful increase in their income. This guy right here alone has seen a 275% or so increase in how much money they've made. Now, that means every little bit of American productivity has been going to him. Now, there's many debates on how we can fix this. That's kind of politics, but to be blaming the poorest of the poor and the marginalized just really, really doesn't make any sense.